Welcome to Quality. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create and manage test cycles and test plans. Just like with modules and builds, you can create or organize your test cycles in whatever way works best for your project. In my case, I'm going to create one test cycle per sprint and then an additional cycle with the test cases that fail in the first cycle so we can re-execute them. So let's go to start with this. Go to Test Cycle Management and click on Test Cycle. Click on Create Cycle and fill in the required fields, name, build, and any other detail you want to include. In this case, this is for the sprint 1, cycle 1. The cycle type is manual. The build is the sprint one. I will assign this to me. The cycle starts today and ends next week. The priority is medium, and we have to pay attention to these two checkboxes. The first one is cycle visible to the assignee. When this is enabled, the test cycle will only be visible to the users assigned to this test cycle. Anyone who hasn't been assigned won't be able to see or to access it. The second one is arrange the sequence of executing your test cases in this cycle. Enable this if your test cases need to be executed in a specific order. When this is selected, user will be required to follow that sequence, meaning the second test case cannot be executed before the first one is complete. So let's check this one and this one. And if you want, you can add a description and after that click Save. Now let's add our test cases to the cycle. Keep in mind that only approved test cases can be added. So in this case, sprint 1, if we want, we can refresh the screen so all the test cases appear here. We have 6 test cases in this sprint. However, 3 of them are approved. That's why they appear only 3 cases here. We click on Move. We select the cycle and click Move again. And then we click on Execute. Here we can see the overview of the test cycle. There are 3 test cases, none of them passed, all of them are not run, and we have the filters, the column selection as we review in a previous screen in the other part of the application, and here are the 3 test cases we could execute. But before doing that, let's go to Test Management, Test Cases. Let's filter by Build Sprint 1, Apply. We have the 3 test cases that were approved and that we already added to our test cycle, and we also have 3 test cases which are pending. Let's edit the test cases and change the status from pending to approved. Let's save and do the same action with the rest of the test cases. Approved, update, and the last one. Change the status to approved and click on update. Now we are able to go back to test cycle and add the remaining test cases here. I will click on the plus. I can refresh the tree in case the approved test cases does not appear here. In this case, I will add this one, and this one. I will click on Move. I will choose the cycle 1, confirm, and the 3 test cases were added to the test cycle. So now we have 6 test cases inside this test cycle. Here you have all the information about the test cycle. the user who is assigned to this test cycle. You have the option to add more test cases. You have the results, in this case 6 test cases that are not run yet. The status is in progress, it's manual, and here are all the actions you can perform on this test cycle. Those are: create a new test cycle from this test cycle, but which only contains the test cases which fail. So we will have a new test cycle, but only with failed test cases. You can also copy this URL to share with any other person inside the team. Copy, I mean duplicate. You can delete, archive, edit, but I want to focus on this feature. If you remember, when we created the test cycle, we checked the option to set the order of the test cases while executing them. So if we click here, we can change the order. For example, this one, which is in the second position, I can drag and drop and put it in the third position, and I can also move the successful registration at the beginning and then click on save. If we access to the test cycle, we will have all the test cases here. We can execute them with a bulk action, or we can execute them one by one. So let's click on the second one, for example, and if we want to execute this test case, you will have a message here which says, please execute the dependent test cases first. It's related with the order. We choose that we have to execute this in order. So for example, if I go back and choose the successful registration, I will be able to execute this test case because it was the first one. So I will start registering the time. We can measure the time, and then we can choose the status. For example, let's say that this test case passed, and let's click on execute. Then if we click on next, the next test case will be shown. We can say that this test case failed. For example, if we see the expected result, we can write, for example, that the login screen is accessed from a desktop browser but not from mobile. That's why it failed. So if we click on execute, the failed execution will be registered, and we have also the option to add a defect, but we will talk about defect management in a different video. We can register many executions. For example, if I want to set that the second execution also failed, I can execute it again, and I will have here a history of the executions. And if we click on back, we will be back to the overview. Now we still have 6 test cases, but some of them pass, some of them are not run, and one of them failed. If we want to remove test cases, we can choose some of them, and we can perform a bulk action and click on delete. We confirm the action, and all the test cases were removed from this test cycle. Now we have only the 2 test cases that we executed before. Now let's create a new cycle, but without the option of sequence execution, because I want to have more flexibility. So let's say that this is a sprint 1, cycle 2, this is a manual, this is the sprint 1, the priority is medium, and let's save this and add the test cases, all the test cases under the login feature. Let's move them. Let's choose the cycle 2 and click on execute. Now, if we choose many test cases, we have the bulk option to execute all together. So we can choose that they pass, for example, and click on apply. Let's execute one more test case. Let's say that this test case failed. Let's execute it. And if we go back to the test cycle screen, we have the overview, and I want to show you this feature to create a new test cycle with only the failed test cases. Let's click on that, and now we have a copy with the only one test case, which is not run, and it comes from the previous cycle, which is the one that failed. In this case, I'm going to edit the name. I'm going to write cycle 3 failed. Let's update. Now let's go to the sprint 2. Let's execute the remaining test cases. In this case, this one passed, and the next one also passed. If I go back to the test cycles screen, I can edit the cycle, and I can choose complete as a status. Let's update. If we go back to the test cycles screen, we can see all our test cycles and the corresponding status. Now let's talk about test plans. The test plan feature brings a new level of organization and clarity to your testing process. It allows you to structure your testing effort across multiple test cycles and monitor overall progress from a single view. Each cycle within a plan contains its own set of test cases, giving you a complete picture of how your testing is progressing from start to finish. This improves collaboration and makes decision making much easier. So go to Test Cycle Management, click on Test Plan, and let's create a new test plan. We will write a name, in this case Sprint 1, the build is Sprint 1, and we can add the Test Cycle 1, Test Cycle 2, and Test Cycle 3. The status is in progress. Let's say that this starts today until the next week. I will assign this to myself, and we have to write the milestones and deliverables. In this case, the milestone is about user management and authentication, and the deliverables that we are going to deliver are those. If we want, we can add a description and then click on save. Now we have our first test plan, and if we click on the view icon, we will see a lot of information about our test plan. In this case, we have 6 test cases which pass, 2 of them fail, and 1 of them is not run. Here we have the information split by cycle, so we can analyze the information of every test cycle. That's it for this video. I hope you start creating your own test cycle and